Hello and welcome to my guide to sleet wheat grain farming. Now I might be a bit late with this guide because the ranching upgrade is just around the corner and the food meta might change drastically due to it. But I've seen quite a lot of questions how to grow sleet wheat grain in your base, on forums, on Reddit, so I thought I'd just cover it. And first question you actually have to ask yourself is, do you really need and want sleet wheat grain? Because if we take a look at the stubs here, pepper bread from sleet wheat grain, quality superb, +5, stuffed berry, +4. So you're gonna go through quite a lot of hassle to get +1 in food quality. But regardless, I'm gonna show how you do it. Now, I think why people have trouble with it is what they try to do to regulate temperature within the farm area here is to regulate the temperature of the air in different ways. Swords, they might spend a lot of energy on thermoregulators, and that kind of works for bristle blossom. It really doesn't for sleet wheat grain, and the reason for that is the major inflow of higher temperature into a farming area is with the water. Now every single farm tile here contains about 5 kilos of water, and if that is hot water, so it's coming from directly, for example, from your geyser with some minor cooling underway, it's gonna heat up the air and the farm tile a lot, and you're gonna be fighting. If you just try to cool down the air, you're gonna be fighting a losing battle. You're never gonna get it cold enough for sleet wheat grain. For bristle blossom, yes. For sleet wheat grain, no, right? So what you need to do, like the guide to do a sleet wheat grain farm, is in reality a guide to cooling down that geyser water cold enough. If you remember, or if you've seen it, I made a guide a while ago that said like why cooling down your geyser water is a waste of time and energy for the most part. And now, for the most part, like the part that is valuable to cool down is the one for your farms. That's the only water you should cool down. The rest you can kind of, it's a waste because you can pipe it to machines with fixed output temperatures. So, like for example, the carbon skimmer here, 40 degrees. So you pipe in 90-degree water, it comes out 40-degree polluted water. But for the farms, it's really valuable to actually cool down your water. First thing you want to do is, of course, isolate the area. So you want abyssal tiles all around it, because you don't want to have to cool down your whole base or compensate for all the inflow of hot air from the rest of the base. So you want it isolated, and it's kind of a given. The second thing is piping in cold enough water into your farm. It needs to be below 5 degrees, or preferably, if it's a bit above 5 degrees, you still need more air cooling. And there's a few different ways to do it. One thing I would not recommend is using an aqua tuner to directly cool down your geyser water for the farms. And the reason for that is that you get a lot of free heat deletion from different machines through the fixed output temperature. So if we just, as an easy example, you take the really hot, here it's like 70 degree geyser water, you pump it straight to a carbon skimmer, and it comes out at 40-degree polluted water. Now, if you instead cool down that 40-degree polluted water, now you only have to cool down water from 40 degrees to 3 degrees instead of 70-80 degree water to 2 degrees. So it takes a lot less energy, right? I have a boiler here that I have another video about that I use for cooling down water. It takes too much to explain it in this video, so it's better if you just check out that video how I do it. But what it does is take advantage of different fixed output temperatures for heat deletion to cool down the polluted water. Right now it's not active because I don't want the polluted water to run too cold, but to cool down your polluted water even more, and then use your polluted water to cool down your water. Now you could of course pipe either polluted water or crude oil through, for example, thermonullifier, or a room full of swords with hydrogen, and here I have both, although I don't use it at the moment. But the main idea is that you cool down something else and then pipe it through the water, and it's more effective than using an aqua tuner, except for if you glitched out the aqua tuner or used a liquid cooling bug to kind of get more power out of the aqua tuner than it's really intended, which is of course possible. And I mean, it's a single player game, it doesn't matter if you exploit it, but without heavy exploits it's not more effective. Now, a good way to do it it takes time for water to cool down. So what I've done is this type of longer storage area. So I drop in the water in one end and pump it out in the other. So the water will have plenty of time to cool down. So it comes in here at like 35-40 degrees and it goes out at 20. Now, in this area, I cool down water enough for my bristle blossom farm. Then the water that is left over after feeding my bristle blossoms will go into another tank where I cool it down. Let's get temperature here even more from some 15 degrees to 2-3 degrees in the end, right? So as it travels through here to the pump, it will slowly cool down more, enough for my sleepy gray. But you can achieve this in different ways. I think this is a really neat way, a really easy way to do it. Just have long tanks, pipe liquid through it. But there's other setups, so you can of course like Google or YouTube different water cooling guides. So I think that's pretty much it for cooling sleepy gray. You might need, since they actually require a bit of fertilizer that might come in hot to them as well, you might need some additional cooling apart from the cold water. For me, it's enough with one single Weeswort. It's probably even more than I need, and it would be enough for a full farm here of sleepy gray. But I'm already running very high on food, so I don't really want to overproduce more than I do. Well, apart from that, one little neat thing I could mention is I haven't used it, but I kind of figured out at least one use for the smart refrigerators. I guess at least it would work that way, right? Because they output a signal, different signals depending on if they're full or not. So you could use that to put liquid shutoff on the pipe towards your farm area or part of your farm areas, shutting off the water when the fridges are full. The reason for that would be to kind of save water you need to cool down. So you wouldn't be overproducing food pretty much, because if you put the water lock there, it shuts off, you dry out the farm, so you won't produce foods until your fridges are not full anymore. So it's just like, it's of course not really game changing, but it's some neat little thing you could do. Apart from that, I have also here pinch of pepper farm, and here I used like a totally different way of keeping the temperature. Instead of cooling down the water, I just pipe the hot geyser water, or in this case the water I boiled while cleaning polluted water, straight through the farm to keep the temperature high instead of low. So use the different temperatures that occur naturally in your base as much as you can to regulate temperature in different rooms. That's another tip I can give. Like, don't try to kind of combat the natural occurring temperatures in the rooms. Rather try to use them to your advantage, or naturally occurring temperatures in different liquids. So I think that's pretty much it for this quite short farm guide. I will put links here in the end to the boiler here that I use for cooling down, and in that video I used crude oil, but I later changed it to polluted water. And the main reason for that is a post, I unfortunately don't remember his name, that suggested polluted water being more effective, which is this, due to higher heat capacity than crude oil, which pretty much make me spend a lot less energy. So what I do is I split the pipe here, so they're just going on they're on 50% of the time. But I think that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll probably post like 1 or 2 more videos from this build. I will actually not finish this base, and the reason for that is the ranching upgrade and the addition of new geysers. So I kind of want to start on a new map seed, because I feel I'm going to be left out of too much of the gameplay experience if I only have the old geysers. So well, see you in future videos. Cheers.